Hey there, chummers, and welcome to another Shadowrun review. And today we're going to be taking a look at one of my favorite books from 4th edition, and that is Feral Cities. Now, I have this book sitting somewhere. I wish I could have done this video with the physical copy, but I have absolutely no idea where it is. It's in a box somewhere in the garage, and I can't be bothered to dig through all of them and look at it, so here we go. We're just going to use the digital copy that I have here. So, what is Feral Cities? Well, Feral Cities is described as a core setting book. I don't know if I'd call it a core setting book. It's a supplement, but what it does is it takes a look at some feral cities, some of the nastiest cities in the Sixth World, where law and order has essentially broken down, and the city itself exists pretty much in a state of pure anarchy. Now, there's a couple of different cities that are detailed in this supplement, but the two major ones are Chicago and Lagos, which Lagos is an interesting choice, but I kind of dig it. Lagos, of course, is located in Africa, and the section on Lagos goes through essentially everything you would need to run a game set in a feral city in Africa, including some of the politics of the region, some of the neighbors of Lagos, and things like that. Chicago does much the same thing, but Chicago details the state of the city in 2072 after the events of Bug City. So this is going to be after the walls of the containment zone come down, after the insect spirit infestation has been quote-unquote eradicated, and gives you some information about the history of the city in the decades since then. Now, both of these sections here, and there's a third section as well, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that section in a little bit. Both of these sections actually do a really good job of creating a feel for the setting, for the cities, for this particular setting that they're talking about here, and you get a sense that Chicago and Lagos are both living, breathing locations. I mean, Chicago, it talks about the economy of the city, how it works post-apocalypse, essentially, because Chicago was a city that experienced not one but two apocalyptic events in the last couple of decades of the Shadowrun timeline. They had the Bug City event, which was essentially a knockout punch for the city and destroyed a lot of it. And much of it actually ended up being quarantined behind the massive containment zone, as well as several layers of really insane government and corporate security. And then the Crash 2.0 hit the city as well. So it details those events as well, the effect that it had on the economy, what people use as a means of exchange and that sort of thing, how smuggling works, what things are worth, what you can expect to pay for different services and things like that, and all sorts of stuff. And it also details some of the locations, notable locations of the city as well. I believe the Cabrini Refuge, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've read this book, but I believe the Cabrini Refuge, which was the ghoul area of the city, is detailed a little bit here. It details some of the movers and shakers in the city, some of the major gangs and warlords that are still there, because the city is still in a really bad way. It has not recovered from the events of Bug City. It really hasn't. But again, it just the entire section creates a really good picture of life in the city, and what runners that live here can expect to find, and how they can expect to interact with the different denizens of the Chicago post-containment zone. Ugh. I don't know what I was trying to say there for a second. So, very good section. And then Lagos, of course, very much the same. Details some of the history of the city, some of the major events that have happened. It also details some of the tribes that live in the city and call that city home, and how they interact with the city and its lack of government and services and all sorts of stuff like that. It talks about religion in Lagos and how that works, the different languages that you can expect, and even goes into a little bit about the environment of Lagos, because it's a very unique environment in Lagos. Essentially, it's a city that's built upon atop a swamp. So it details some of that. You've got a map of the region as well, and it details the kingdoms of Nigeria, which is the major neighbor for Lagos, the major power that borders it. And it goes into a really good amount of detail, talking about this particular section of Africa. It doesn't talk completely about the entire continent, because that be impossible for one book to discuss Africa in the Sixth World in general and everything that goes into it. But it does a really good job of painting this picture of this little slice of hell that is Lagos and the area around it. So both of these locations, very, very good. I have used the information on Lagos before. I did an adventure. I haven't set an entire campaign in the city, but I did do an adventure that involved the runners traveling to Lagos. I think they were doing some sort of corporate extraction or something like that. I don't remember exactly what they were doing, but they did travel to Lagos, and I did use some of this information. And again, both of these sections, they go into just a massive amount of detail and give you enough to create whatever kind of story you want in this in these locations. Now, the other section, go back to the beginning here, that's detailed in this city is Urban Wilds. And what Urban Wilds is that's just a quick little section that details some other really nasty cities throughout the world. I don't know if I would call these feral cities in the same way that Chicago and Lagos are, but they're definitely cities where law, order, social services, government, that sort of thing are tenuous at best. So again, I don't know if I would go as far to call them feral cities, but very interesting locations. They're just kind of quick little glances. It doesn't really tell you a whole lot about the particular city, but what it does tell you, actually, it gives you a good picture. You might not be able to create an entire campaign based in one of these cities, but it definitely would be a great, gives you enough information for these to be great, like one-shot locations or something like that. But the urban wild cities that are detailed, you've got Bogota, Colombia. You've got I have no idea how to pronounce this, but you've got the sprawl of GeMiTo, which is essentially the Italian cities of Genoa, Milan, and Turin, which are now just one big, nasty, giant sprawl. You've got Caravan, which I'm going to come back to that because I want to say something about Caravan. And then you've got Sarajevo. And then you've got game information, information on how to run adventures in Chicago and Lagos, essentially. Economics and things like that, adventure seeds, just stuff that you would want if you were going to run an adventure in one of these cities. Now, Caravan was one of the more interesting locations in this book. So Caravan essentially is a roving city, and it's in like Central Asia is where it spends most of its time. It's literally a roving city. There, it's made up of cargo haulers, trucks, motorhomes, big, huge industrial vehicles and military vehicles and that sort of thing. And it just roves around Central Asia. And it has citizens from literally all over the world. And this was actually really intriguing when I read this. I wish it gave more information on Caravan and its makeup. Like I said, it gives you enough to have it maybe be a one shot, but it doesn't really give a whole lot of information that you could use to flesh out a campaign. I really wish, and I don't know if Caravan appears in any other Shadowrun supplements or literature. I'm gonna have to take a look at that, but just the idea of a roving city that just literally wanders throughout Central Asia and plies its wares and that sort of thing. It's just really cool. It really is. And I've always wanted to do something with it. I've always wanted to try to run a campaign in Caravan. Maybe I'll do that at some point. But again, it's just really, really cool. So that's Feral Cities. So again, this is a great supplement for game masters because it gives you more detail about Shadowrun in 2072, in the late 21st century. More information about some other locations in the Sixth World. We get a pretty good amount of information on Africa. We get some detail about stuff in Europe as well. We get Caravan, which again, probably one of the most unique settings in Shadowrun that I've seen for a while, but it's a great book. If you're a game master and you want to do something a little bit different, highly recommend picking it up. You could probably get this, since it's a 4th edition book, you could probably get a print copy of this fairly easy. I would check eBay for it. You could probably find it at a pretty decent price there. Drive-Through RPG, again, of course, is going to have the PDF available for download, which I highly recommend. Even if you're not a game master, even if you're just a player and you want another glimpse into what life is like in different parts of the Sixth World, this is a really good book. It's just a really fun read and a lot of really interesting locations. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and leave this video here, and let me know what you think about this book in the comment section. If you have this book, did you find it useful? Did you find it as cool as I did the first time I read this? I literally could not put this book down when I looked at it the first time. And have you used any of these locations? Whether it's Chicago, which I think probably we all have used at some point, or Lagos, or maybe you've used one of the Urban Wilds settings. Maybe you have run an entire campaign in Caravan, or maybe you've gone to Bogota or GeMiTo or wherever else. Let me know in those comment sections. As always, if you liked what you saw, leave a like, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell so you will always know whenever I upload a brand new video, and I will see you all next time. And that's the chip truth, chummers. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more Shadowrun content. Hit that notification bell so you will always know when I upload a brand new Shadowrun video, and until next time, remember to shoot straight and never, ever deal with a dragon.